Hi, I'm Professor Tim Scales here at Indiana University East. Today I have the pleasure of sitting in for Eric as we get to know a little bit more about an honor society that's just been newly established here at Indiana University East. So joining me will be a series of guests. We'll have representatives from the society as well as we'll have administrators and educators here at the university, followed up with some students. So this was just a great opportunity while they were on campus visiting with us to get to know a little bit more about them, bring them on in focus, and just kind of enjoy the week. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what I want to do is just kind of get to know a little bit about Beta Alpha Psi, and that is the honor society that we just installed here at the university this week, and each of you came to do that. And so let's kind of get to know a little bit about what you do for the organization.
Sure. I'm the past president of Beta Alpha Psi, which the president rotation is a 3-year term. President-elect, president, then past president. So I had the opportunity to serve as president last year, and now I'm completing my role as past president.
So you've had three-year term.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, very good. Sir?
I am the chapter advocate for the Midwest region. What that means is I interface between the chapters, the faculty advisor, and the officers with the executive office at the international level. So if there's issues with the chapters experiencing, they don't know how to solve a problem, they're looking for mentorship or guidance from another chapter, I try to help facilitate that, answer some questions from my own experience, and just in general do everything I can to help our chapters be successful.
Very good. So Beta Alpha Psi has approximately how many chapters?
About 350.
So it's quite an establishment.
Mm-hmm.
I think the original date of the establishment is?
It's just over 100 years old. It celebrated its 100th anniversary, I think, in 2019, 2018. So okay. It's about just over 100.
Well, I know here at the university, we've been hearing about it for probably about 3 years, if not 4, because we started chatting about it and talking about this is something we want to get involved with. This is going to be great for our students and such. And so I think the conversation started 4 years ago, if not 5, but I think the actual work to actually start to have it here on the campus probably happened 3 years ago. And why don't you share with us a little bit about the organization, if you don't mind. Talk about why it's important to have this organization.
Sure, I can do that. So I think more than anything that we like to focus on the fact is that Beta Alpha Psi is all about our student members. And while Beta Alpha Psi membership, once a student has been inducted for membership, is for life, our programming and everything focuses primarily on that experience as a student because those are such formative years for developing their professional skills, their ability to look at and solve complex problems, to work with diverse groups of people, all these sorts of things that we, of course, try to do inside the classroom, but you can only do so much of it. And so by providing extracurricular that also reinforces those skills, gives students an opportunity to both cooperate and to compete, to go beyond the excellence they display in the classroom and show what else they can do, what else they're interested in, we give them an opportunity to grow beyond just the experience they're already having as a student and get that extra, little bump to set them up for success as they start their career journeys.
Sure. And how long have you been affiliated?
This would be my 14th or 15th year.
Okay. And yourself?
Over 20 years now.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting to get to know that because when you start finding out the years that you've dedicated to this, it means something special to you as well. And so if we may, just talk a little bit about that, why it's important to you to dedicate that much time.
Sure. I've served in a variety of roles. I served as a faculty advisor for more than 10 years at Ball State in Muncie, and it just was a great opportunity to get to know students, to provide them guidance on meeting with practicing professionals, business leaders, and interacting with those types of individuals. And I think that that type of exposure during your college career pays huge dividends as the students start to enter the professional career field. So they really build the confidence to excel in interviews, to step into their first professional positions with a confidence that many other students don't, just because of exposure they had to successful alumni, people in the financial and information industry. It just really is is a transformational experience in many cases.
Okay. Now, are you a professor yourself?
Yes, I am.
And what is your discipline?
I'm a faculty member in accounting.
Okay, very good. And so, same question for you. Let's talk about a little bit about why you've dedicated so much time in parts of your career.
Yeah, I would reinforce a lot of what Mark said about relationships. And as a student in undergrad who was, let's say, not a great student in a variety of ways, but perhaps the one that I regret the most is I wasn't involved in any way outside the classroom. Probably wasn't engaged enough in the classroom either, but definitely not outside the classroom. And I've witnessed what being involved with other people with a similar interest and in similar disciplines does for those students, not only when they're together in school, but for those years that follow. When I look at the number of Beta Alpha Psi officer groups, for example, that I know of that 5 and even 10 years later are still getting together and inviting each other to their weddings, and obviously, most importantly, from our perspective, you know, they're networking with and communicating about opportunities and, hey, I see you know somebody worked at that company, could you make an introduction? All those kinds of things that go on when people have relationships with one another. And for me, by not having had that experience, seeing what it does for them makes me really passionate about making sure that as many students as possible, as many as I can get to listen, understand that like these types of organizations, particularly an honorary organization where everybody around you, when you go to an event or a meeting, everybody is a high performer. There's always something to learn from everybody around you. It's such a great opportunity. I just want to promote it to every student I get the opportunity to.
Sure. There's so much we could talk about, okay? And I know that because I have been involved with our honor societies over the years. And I also served for 8 years on a board of directors. And I know behind the scenes what we would do around that table. And our board meetings would usually be 3 days. And we would discuss so many different things, but at the main heart of that was always the student, okay? And it was how do we make this a wonderful thing? And obviously you have. Our students have been engaged for 3 years without even having this on campus, knowing we're going to bring it to campus, okay? We're going to get to know some of those students in just a little while. But as you serve the organization, you're the one who's in that leadership position. You're the one who says, hey, this is what we've been doing, this is what we're currently doing, and this is what we're going to be doing. You've got to take that role very serious. I can tell each of you are passionate about it. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about how you make those type of decisions and as you take the direction of this organization. So what do you see as really important?
Well, I think the most important thing with regard to leadership of the organization is the strategic planning focus, understanding how to advance the impact of the organization, the membership of the organization, just to grow the organization so more students can have the opportunity to experience the impact of the organization. So while I was president, we went through a comprehensive strategic planning process. Jason was a board member at the time, and I think we developed a strategic plan that will lead the organization into the next century. I think it focuses on the impact of the students, and it focuses on financial sustainability of the organization, as well as growth in membership, making the organization more accessible to people at different universities, more accessible internationally, I think are important initiatives that we've tackled the last couple of years.
Okay. And how about yourself?
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Mark just said, and I would add to that much as you just shared with your experience, you know, it is a very student-focused exercise. You know, I think in any organization, when you're having, you know, big picture leadership conversations, you can wander off the path a little bit, but never for very long before we're back to asking that question of how does this affect our members? How does this affect other students that might potentially become members? And I would even go a step further and say I'm fond of saying, you know, service starts at home. That the first recipient of the benefits of the services that Beta Alpha Psi students provide, and we are a service-focused organization. Our students participate in a lot of student service activities, both on their own, with the executive office's support, and with local employers and other organizational groups. But I sometimes think the most important service those students provide is to their fellow students that aren't members, that maybe can't be members because of time commitments or scholastic accomplishment or whatever else. But these are the students that we see as at our universities as these are the leaders. These are the students we want to, if we're going to introduce you to some of our students, these are the students we want to go to. And I think that keeping that focus on not only who those students are now, but who do we want them to be, right? What do we want to steer them towards learning about themselves? What do we want to suggest to them that they explore? Is really instrumental in helping us focus on things in our strategic plan, for example, or making decisions as it pertains to programming at meetings and all those sorts of things that go along with being in leadership roles.
Great. So as we continue to speak about Beta Alpha Psi, let's talk about what it is, okay? What does it represent?
Well, I think Beta Alpha Psi represents, well, its membership really is high-performing financial information students. So that would generally encompass students majoring in accounting, finance, information technology, and analytics. So we do have a mix of students, and again, we provide those students the opportunity to participate in the activities of the organization.
Okay. So I know here at the campus we've really kind of concentrated on accounting. And I don't know, do you know approximately how many students may have memberships? Not just here at the university, but those 350 universities. What's your total population?
I think we're in the neighborhood of 5,000.
Okay.
Is that about accurate, I believe?
Current members.
Okay.
Membership is for a lifetime, but the current active members are in the neighborhood of 5,000.
Wow. So that's really a pretty large network. And I know that in the past, that's one of the things that when the students sit down and ask me about the societies, you know, are they important? Should I do that? Absolutely. I mean, part of that's the networking, okay, and sharing something that's alike. And I think today, as I was witnessing, you know, the students coming together, that's exactly what they're doing. They're sharing, they're helping, and we had students here today that are alum now because they graduated maybe in December, maybe last year. But that networking starts now, and I'm sure you encourage networking within the organization. Is that correct?
Always.
Okay. And do you have like annual meetings or biannual meetings, or how does this work that you bring the students together?
So we have an annual meeting that occurs end of July, early August, and we have quite a few members. It's typically the officers at the local chapters will attend the national meeting, the annual meeting, excuse me. And then we do have mid-year meetings that are in February typically. We currently have 3 of those that are at different locations throughout the U.S. typically, and one in Australia or New Zealand. We have a number of chapters in that region, and they typically will host a meeting, mid-year meeting too. I think it's scheduled for this week or next.
Okay. So typically in an annual meeting, when you bring the students in, give me an idea of what takes place.
So the first thing that we do, and it kind of helps, going back to the point I was just on, is being a service-focused organization, we always have a community impact activity that starts off our meeting. That has ranged over the years from, depending on the time of year and whatnot, we've had our members go to schools and hand out books to underprivileged kids, to read with them, to do activities with them. We have done support for homeless initiatives in communities. We have done cleanup activities. I could go on for a long time with the various things we've done in the community impact portion. But that really kind of helps to center us on the fact, I think, that we have a common purpose, because they've all been out doing the activities, you know, professional activities and service activities in their own chapters all year. And they come together, and what's the first thing they do? Well, an activity kind of like something they would have been doing in their own chapters, but they do it together. From there, we'll have a pretty traditional business convention format, and that's quite intentional. We want this to be the students' first opportunity to see what's a business conference look like. So we'll have plenary speakers. We of course try to attract highly dynamic, interesting speakers that the students are most likely to be interested in. As you referenced, while we have a long tradition with accounting, we're not just accounting. So we don't get people up there talking about technical accounting. We get people up there talking more about trends in industry. We get them talking about soft skills and things of that nature. And then we have breakout sessions throughout those few days where the students can go and hear more about specific topics that they're more narrowly interested in. I'd be remiss if I didn't miss the last piece, and that is we always have competitions. We promote competitions between the chapters for presentation skills through Deloitte's Best Practices program that they've sponsored with us for many years. And the students prepare fiercely and ultimately just deliver some outstanding presentations. And it's just a joy to watch for faculty, is amazing to watch for the professional partners as well.
So that competition, is that something they prepare for before they come to the meeting, or does that happen all during the meeting?
No, that's something most of them have been preparing for months.
Okay. Well, that kind of gets me excited as well. I could tell you kind of got excited when you started talking about the competition. I love competitions, and I think that's a great way for the students to be able to put that practical side to it and say, hey, here's how we can execute. So we're kind of coming to the end of this section here, and so I just want to ask each of you if there's something that stood out about, you know, the organization that we have maybe not have talked about, something special to you.
I would say more than anything, I'll take this opportunity just to say how proud I am of this chapter here at IU East. They've worked very hard over the past 3 years. They have performed as the same number of activities and been just as engaged and involved as chapters that are many times their size at some other schools. It doesn't necessarily mean just because there's a smaller chapter, there's less to do. And this chapter has been very active, has had excellent leadership with both their chapter officers and with their faculty advisor, and it's just been a pleasure to work with them these last 3 years as they've worked through the petitioning process, and was really an honor to participate in installing the chapter here today.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I know from the other side, I've been watching how hard they've worked, and they've been dedicated to it. They believe in it, and I know why. You know, it's something that's special. And yourself?
I would echo what Jason said. It just is reflective of the commitment to the organization. All our chapters are that I've interacted with over the past 3 years are just full of driven individuals that want to advance their professional careers. They want to interact with professionals, and they want to make an impact on their communities that they live in. So just a great group of people, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here today. It meant a lot for our campus to have you here. This is a time in history that we will always reference back to, and you were a part of it. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to take a break, and when we return, we're going to learn about the administration and the faculty here at the university that's made this happen. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Know what's below. When planting flowers, a garden, or doing any type of digging on your property, RP&L wants you to call 811 before you dig. Electric, gas, water, sewer, cable lines, and more may be in your yard. Don't take the risk of digging blindly. It's free, only takes a few minutes, and can prevent inconvenient service outages, expensive repair bills, serious injury, or even death. That's why calling 811 before you dig is Indiana law. Know what's below.
Hi, I'm John Duke with Wayne County Emergency Management. Spring weather is here. For the most current local updated information, we encourage everyone to sign up for public alerts through Nixle. The easiest way to sign up for Nixle is text 888-777 in the to field of a text message, and then enter your zip code in the body and hit send. For the most current information, whatever the situation may be, we encourage the public to sign up.
Welcome back to In Focus. Today is an exciting day for us as we continue our conversation about Beta Alpha Psi. And joining me today is members of the School of Business and Economics from here at Indiana University East. Dean Wilkinson, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Woodruff, welcome to the show as well.
Thank you, Tim.
This is really exciting for me because I've watched each of you work very, very hard on making this day special. Certainly, this is your first year with us as the dean, but you knew coming in what we were working on. You know how important our accreditation is, and this is a big, big factor in that. Greg, I've watched you work for the past 3 years, if not 4, trying to put this together, and this has been quite an accomplishment. So thank you, and let's talk about this. Let's talk about why it is so important for the School of Business to bring this society to our campus.
Well, it's a society of standards, of high expectations, of what it means to be an accountant professionally, and it links with the standards of AACSB. And so it's important to understand that it's a step beyond just being an accountant. It is a legacy of showing what a good or a great accountant will be and should be. And I think that's important. It's about we think about AACSB and about the accreditation for the school, but this is really accreditation for the students.
Sure. And it's funny because they are the ones who choose their disciplines, okay?
Yes.
And when they chose accounting or finance, and they have this as a foundation for it, and then, build from that, it's a great thing.
It is, and it's so important that students understand it's academic preparation as well as professional preparation, and that's where the organization goes hand in hand with what we provide as an academic preparatory.
Sure, and we went through this accreditation change, and as we did that, this opened up the opportunity for this. And Greg, you seen that opportunity, you witnessed that opportunity, you knew it was coming, and you started preparing for it. And I would say it's probably been 4 years that you've been preparing. Is that correct?
It's been 4 years. We started this the first fall that I got here, and we recruited, and recruiting early on was challenging for a group that wasn't known. And we were lucky we got a fellow named Cade Brubaker that came in as a student and was our first president, and he helped start getting it all put together. And then we followed up with Jayla Landis and George Unad and Bailey Moisner and Zachary Jewell and John Delk, and they took the ball and ran with it. And if it weren't for the work of the students, this wouldn't happen. It really is a student-focused organization, and they're the ones that make it happen. A faculty member can't make it happen. It has to be the students.
You're absolutely correct, and I've been in that role as well, and I know what it's like to work with the students, and I know what it's like to have students that are working with you, and your group has truly been working with you. They've been working beside you, but your leadership can't go without being known because you have been there. You've been there in the evenings. You've taken trips with them. You have mentored them in every way, shape, and form. And so you've got to take some credit for that, okay? And you're correct. Great students do great things, but so do great mentors. And I think you've served that capacity very well. Let's talk about what that means. What did you need to do to make this happen? And I say you because, you had to provide that leadership. You had to say to the students, this is what we have to get accomplished, and this is how we go about it. Then give them the torch and let them run.
Beta Alpha Psi is a vehicle to establish a culture of excellence. You have to be a great student to qualify to be in Beta Alpha Psi. And that's been my goal all along. It's like, let's establish a culture of excellence. This is the path that we should take. And those students bought in. And whether we go to Dayton, Ohio for the IMA meetings over there to interact with professionals, or the IMA National Leadership Event, or Beta Alpha Psi regional meetings, or cooperate with another chapter to have joint dual chapter events, it's just about putting the opportunities in front of the students and them saying, yes, let's do it, let's run with it. And we've had great students who've been willing to take up that mantle.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we talk about excellence, a lot of times we think about GPAs. We talk about, that high academic student, and that's important, but also I see the things that you're involving them with. And a lot of times it's community projects, okay, whether it be helping with golf outings or maybe it be, with the soup kitchen or something of that nature. Let's talk about those projects as well and why those are important.
Well, we have a series of them that we've worked on. We've helped the local park district with cleaning up the parks, getting them ready for the spring and getting them ready for the citizens to use them. Helped the park district with their pumpkin painting competition. Then with Junior Achievement, we've helped them with their being arms and legs for their fundraising activities, and then we're involved with them for their stock market challenge. So we have that coming up on April 25th. It's a matter of making sure the students stay grounded. This is a group that believes in being engaged. This is a group that believes that community service is worthwhile. And that's one of the strong selling points about this generation.
Well, I think it's interesting because you mentioned some names that have already graduated, okay? So those are students who are working on this project without this actually even being something they could represent. I mean, you know, they had to believe in what you were telling them, and it was fun to see them back on this campus to celebrate it with you as well. And so great job, and you're going to continue to build that student base, I know that.
Thank you.
Kelly, I'm going to come back because what happens is you've been with us for less than a year. I don't know, you probably can tell me how many months it's been.
It's been 9 months.
So you've been with us for 9 months, but as you came in, I know in your interviews and even on your first day, you had a list of things that you were going to achieve.
Right.
And I've watched each week that list grow. So it's I know you're marking off some things, but you're adding to it. And I know that this was one of the high things on your list.
Right.
And working beside Greg to make sure that happened. And so you've got to feel great today.
It was very satisfying, but it's a start, it's not an end.
Right.
And one of the things that we have to realize is that we're committed as a school and as a university to have a symbiotic relationship with this community. And that doesn't just that's not just us as a school, it's also our students. And so organizations such as this one sets that tone of what's expected of our students as they live and thrive in a community. And this is just this is just the start.
Sure. And you know, it's funny because you have a very, very strong position here. And it's a leadership role that we have to instill in the students. And we have to showcase that. And Greg certainly is a mentor as well. But today was fun for me because Cade, during his lunch hour, came and joined us for this celebration, okay? He has taken a full-time position at a local accounting firm. And that's a firm that our incoming president or current president is also interning at. And let's hope that that becomes her permanent home as well. So we are getting out there in the community, and we do see placement of our students that are earning those positions. And those organizations are proud to bring our students in.
They really are. And it's also important as we were talking is how do we mentor them, not just academically, again, professionally? How do we understand what our societal impact, and we hear this as an academic term, but it really is a term in which we need to embrace because we are all part of a community.
Sure.
And we all have an active role in it.
Sure. And it's kind of fun because, again, this is a focus on accounting and finance. Is that correct?
And informatics.
Okay. So we put those three together, and then within the school we have several different disciplines. And so you're involved not just in one of these societies, but in all of them. And that has to be exciting for you to be able to oversee and see so many students go in so many ways.
It is. I like to say these are our kids growing up, and it's more than that. These are young men and women who have goals. And as a regional institution, we have students that face opportunities. I don't like to say boundaries, but opportunities to work through situations that make them stronger. And I think a lot of that makes them understand why it's important to give back. You said something about the community, this generation being a group that gives back. They understand it, and thank goodness. Thank goodness they understand that. And it's just my pleasure, our pleasure, to just provide them with or facilitate with them in what they want to do, in the paths they want to go.
Sure. But I think that's what I see here at Indiana University East is we make sure every opportunity is there. We take advantage of those opportunities. Anytime we can engage with the students, we do. Anytime we can get the students engaged in something, we do. It's big, small, everything is an opportunity. Greg, you've given a lot of opportunities to these students, okay? You've taken them to different places. Tell us a little bit about where you've gone with them and what you've done.
Well, we regularly go over to Dayton, and at the engineering club, the IMA hosts professional speakers. And so there'll be a speaker, then there'll be a dinner, and then there'll be a speaker. And so that's every third Tuesday of the month. And some months we're able to go, some months we have conflicts in our schedules, but we try to make as many of those as possible. The IMA features a national leadership meeting for students and faculty. And so we have taken those students to those national leadership meetings now 3 times. And let's see, they have been in Detroit, they have been in Indianapolis, and Milwaukee. So those have been good meetings, and then the Beta Alpha Psi meetings, we have taken them to 2 of those. And we plan to go to more now that we have more students getting involved, and there's some competitions that we'd like to see them get involved with. But lots of opportunities, and then just getting involved in the community with the junior achievement. That's going to be a big thing, especially with the stock market challenge, because it gives our university students a chance to interact with high school students. They're involved in that competition that can end up leading to a state competition and then a national competition. So some big opportunities there.
That's great. I believe, did you have some of the students in California? Did you take them to California? Was that one of your groups?
Oh, that's right. Yes, we did. We did go to...
It's kind of a big deal.
Yes, California. We took 2, the president and the vice president went to the leadership meeting out in California. Is it Anaheim where they
It is.
Disney World is?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Disneyland. So we went there, and so they had the opportunity to meet with some different leaders, and 3 days of lots of leadership development training for them, and 3 days of lots of leadership development for the faculty that were sequestered off into other meetings.
Okay. So in the earlier section of the show, we learned a little bit about the competitions, okay? And competitions are great for students. It gives them an opportunity to prepare and then go up against other peer groups and see how they do. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you get your students prepared for those competitions.
Well, we're going to have enough people this fall that we'll have a group that will, hopefully these guys will go ahead and pick up the ball and run with it. There's a competition that they have to prepare for and submit materials in December, and then they would compete in February or early February or late February at one of the regional meetings. Teams in the past have not done that, but they have said they're ready to go, so we'll see.
What would that look like? When you say prepare materials, what does competition look like?
They give them a topic.
So like a
okay?
case, like a case study?
Like a case study, but they'll ask them, what are you doing to make an impact in your community? How are you using technology? Something like that. And then the students come up and they design a project that features their technology or how they're making an impact in society, how they're impacting the university. And the students have to do a PowerPoint presentation. They have to have their own script. They have to do it within no more than I think a 10-minute time period. And the faculty advisor has to keep his hands off of it or her hands off of it. And so it's all on them. And so when they do well, it will be, it'll be a big chance for us to celebrate our students. The faculty advisor gets to go and observe. Mm-hmm. We can encourage them.
But Greg, I've always felt like great leaders develop people, and then they can step back. Okay, they don't have to be in the light. They can step back, and that's what you do with these students. Is you've developed them, now they're ready, and I think that's great. Kelly, I'm going to come back to you because I can tell you that again, watching you, working with you for the 9 months that you've been here, it's how you develop the faculty and staff that then is able to develop the students. And so it takes that environment. I know you're a big, strong component of the students, but also I'm seeing what you're doing with the faculty and staff.
Well, it takes a team, and it's the faculty and the staff that interact with the students, and to make sure that they have the tools, that they are exploring what they want to explore, that they're finding, where their passion is. It's amazing when someone is passionate about something, how things get done. And so it's important that everybody finds, I want to be the faculty's champion, because in turn that the faculty are the students' champion, and it's important because we're all part of the same environment or the same community. I keep saying the word community, but in essence it is. I mean, the School of Business and Economics is a diverse community with talented people who have passions about different things, and it only makes our students better.
Sure. Well, I think it's very exciting. I think this time in history is exciting. And I mean, I know that you're excited today. I was watching, and that's a really big plaque. Yeah. And so I'm sure you have a special place in the School of Business for that.
We're going to ask for one.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure you'll get it because I know the support that our dean and the administration here at the university has for the School of Business and Economics and all schools, because I think oftentimes that's what we say, the students. We don't necessarily even condition it to the business students. We realize that everybody on this campus are important to the Indiana University name, as well as the Indiana University East, and to the School of Business and Economics. Yeah. And so I think it's exciting, and it's exciting what you're doing with the students, and certainly the time you're committing to them. And I think it shows, and the students, they appreciate it. And so thank you for doing it, and keep doing a great job. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to elaborate on today?
Just that Beta Alpha Psi does prepare leaders for society. And having been involved with Beta Alpha Psi for over 24 years now, I look at the people that have been in Beta Alpha Psi, and it's amazing how many of them have risen to the top of their industry. Just as an example, just last week, about the 15th of April, a fellow named Joe Creed was named as the next CEO for Caterpillar. And he is a Beta Alpha Psi alum and past president at one of the universities within the Beta Alpha Psi system. So it's amazing what these people are doing and what they can do. So I point that out. This is where you can go. Mm-hmm. Whether they're the CEO of a major corporation, or whether they're running a not-for-profit, or whether they're assisting in financial literacy in their communities, there's a place for Beta Alpha Psi students after they graduate.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Kelly, any last words?
Just that the community and the symbiotic relationship of IU East and Richmond and the region, it gets better as we increase that interaction, and as we have people come to us and go, I didn't know we could do that, and we can.
Sure. Dean Wilkinson, Dr. Woodruff, thank you for joining us on this section of In Focus. It's a real pleasure to hear what you're doing with the students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
We'll be back, and it's going to be an exciting part of the show when we get to actually meet with some of the students, understand what this means to them. Stay with us.
IU East provides its students the opportunity to earn a prestigious IU degree that is respected throughout Indiana, the nation, and the world with an affordable cost. As part of the Indiana University system, IU East provides all the services and opportunities of a large university combined with the advantages and atmosphere of a small college. As one of the top 10 best colleges in Indiana, IU East is the region's leader in baccalaureate and master's degree programs, offering over 60 academic programs. IU East also competes in one of the top conferences in the NAIA with 17 athletic teams. As Red Wolves, we care about each other. Being a student-centered university, our students have the opportunity to impact not only this university, but the community that surrounds us all. Become a Red Wolf today, while we bring on tomorrow.
The Levi and Catherine Coffin State Historic Site in Fountain City is open Wednesday through Sunday and some holidays. Enjoy a guided tour through the home of Quakers Levi and Catherine Coffin, where freedom seekers found refuge. Then see the site's interpretive center and learn more about the history of the Underground Railroad. Reservations for tours and special programs can be made online at www.indianamuseum.org or by calling the site at 765-847-1691.
Welcome back to In Focus. This is a special time of this show that I've really been looking forward to. It's been a great show, but this is the time when I really get to sit down and interact with the students. This is where we get to find out why this is so important to the students. And, you know, they work really hard to make this happen for us. So I'm really excited just to hear their story and share it with you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have been talking for the last 40 minutes basically about Beta Alpha Psi. And Beta Alpha Psi is new to this campus. We just started it basically today. We say that, okay? And yet each of you know that we've been working on this for 4 years, okay? And Dr. Woodruff has been working on this long before any of us. It was his idea, and he started bringing it together, getting the support of the deans and understanding what we need to do. He had a vision for it, and he made you a part of that vision, okay? And I think part of that had to make you believe, okay? Because how do you start working so hard on something that we don't have? And so today we have a chapter, but prior to this, we haven't. And so tell us, how long have you been involved?
I've been involved since my sophomore year, so that would have been fall of 2022, I believe.
Okay.
That I got the first email, came to the first meeting, and I was a part of it since then.
Okay. Jordan, how about you?
Greg brought me into his office. I was one of his tax students and took accounting with him, and he's like, Beta Alpha Psi. I'm like, what's that? And that was in the spring of 2021. So I think that might have been the first semester after COVID, I think.
Sure, so the first semester we started back up.
Yeah, so, and he brought me into his office, and he's like, have you ever heard of Beta Alpha Psi? I'm like, no. So, but it was great, and what he pitched to me, I'm like, that sounds like exactly what I'm looking for, because, you know, being an accountant, you're kind of, without those resources, you're just kind of left without networking, you know, that all the opportunities they give you, you're kind of just floating in there like, where do I go? And Beta Alpha Psi really, with all the networking opportunities, it drove me right into the path that I'm in now, which I'm loving.
So Jordan, you've graduated.
Correct.
When did you graduate?
May of 2024.
So you graduated May of 2024, so a year ago.
Yeah.
And are you practicing? What are you doing?
I am a tax preparer. I'm in tax accounting. My degree was in CPA accounting, business CPA accounting, but I never thought in a million years I'd be a tax accountant after taking my tax classes. But actually the the resources and all the talks we went to through Beta Alpha Psi and IMA, there were so many speeches on how they thought these people, they thought they would never in a million years be this, or this, and they said just be open to it. You just have to try it and be open to it, because your tax classes and all your classes in accounting, they're not going to be exactly what's like in the actual field. And I took that to heart. I said that in my first interview with the company I'm with now, and I've been there since August, and I love taxes apparently now. So because I never thought I'd be there.
So Jayla, I'm coming back to you in just a moment, but I'm going to stay with Jordan for just another minute, okay? What is it that Dr. Woodruff said to you to get you involved? Because that had to have been very difficult for something we hadn't even heard of.
Well, he really, I don't know exactly why he came to me, but him and I got to talking. He's like, well, what are you earning degrees in? And I'm like, well, business, CPA accounting, English degree, and a criminal justice degree. So I had 3 degrees. He's like, why? Why would you want? Because he kind of questioned me, like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I want to achieve things, and I want to go up and beyond. And he's like, I have the group for you. Have you ever heard of Beta Alpha Psi? And I'm like, no, but it sounds like right up my alley.
Well, very good. Jayla, I know that early on you also had a conversation that got you excited. So what was that conversation?
I feel like mine was pretty similar. When I was a sophomore was when they had their first meeting, like their first recruiting meeting. And so I went to that, and that was interesting. And then I did have the conversation with Greg, and I feel like the big things that he pushed that he talked about that really got me intrigued were the professional development. This will look great on your resume, and you'll build these professional skills that you will use. And I feel like there is a lot of things that people say that about it looking good on your resume and stuff like that. But Beta Alpha Psi truly is, the national organization holds a lot of power, and it looks great on your resume. And then as far as like the professional activities, building resumes, networking, and he pitched all that to me. And I believed it. I did, and it's done a lot more than I even thought possible, even what he pitched to me there at the beginning.
Well, I think it's interesting because each of you kind of have that same pitch, okay? The pitch that he gave you that you obviously believed in, and that's why you're here today, okay? But what I think is very interesting is that the two of you, coupled with other students as well, have made this happen. Okay? Because as great and wonderful and all of the work that any faculty member can put into it, it's only going to be as strong and as good as our students. And our students have to be the people who really make it happen. So we've had a lot of community projects. We've had a lot of networking opportunities. You've traveled. You've done some things. But you have done those. And I know that Greg oftentimes talked about how he had you prepared, but then it's all you. And so he has to step back, watch, and let you go. And obviously, you handled it well. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what that was like. Let's talk about those community projects. Did you have a favorite?
Oh, the community projects. We did so many. Trying to think, the golf outing was a really nice one. It was very hot that day, but it didn't like phase you, even though, you know, like they're not the best conditions, but you know, it's like, I don't care. I like what I'm doing here. I like what I'm doing there for the community. It's like you don't think about that. It's kind of interesting. But the golf outing was very, very memorable.
Mm-hmm. And see, I'm intrigued about that because I know myself, even as I went through college and now as a professor and watching how we develop the professionals. But golf and accounting,
They don't.
what's the correlation?
They don't.
You know? So it's like, so why do we do that?
Mainly that was the junior achievement one, and they're for the entrepreneurs. You know, they're helping high school students kind of, you know, come up into college and say, hey, you can do this, this, and this if you want to go, you know, any which way they want. It was mostly entrepreneurship and financial. So that kind of ties into the accounting portion. That's kind of why we got involved with JA.
But good citizenship all the way across the board is what it's about, okay? And so it's those are the type of things we do. What about yourself? Talk about a community project that you were engaged in.
I really liked the work that we've done with the Parks Department. And so we've done multiple things there. We've cleaned up parks, and we've also volunteered at things like the Frostbite 5K that they have here in Richmond. And I enjoyed that because you get to engage with members of the community. A lot of times there's quite a few people that come to the park cleanups. And so you're helping make Richmond a better place, and then you're also meeting people in the community and getting to know them, and it's kind of a networking opportunity also while you're engaging in the community service, and I enjoyed that.
So I think these are fun opportunities for you, and you're correct. But I think that what it really does is it gives us an opportunity to build our communities. Okay? And that's what they are. You're going to find out as you're working, as you continue to grow as professionals, that you're a part of a community, and it is our community. So somebody oftentimes will say, you know, well, our community doesn't have this, we don't do that. Well, it is our community. So we can embrace that, we can make changes, okay? We can make things happen, and you've made positive things happen. I like that. Let's talk about it from a practitioner approach now, though. Let's talk about what you do in that classroom that now you can take out into the field because of the society. You know, being a part of this has allowed you that opportunity to apply what you've learned. And whether that be at the conventions you go to, I know there's a competitive side of that. I don't believe you got to compete, did you?
No.
But let's talk about it because you got to watch. And so what excited you about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, just watching when we went to the Beta Alpha Psi annual conferences, watching those students present, what were they called, like projects or like, I can't remember what exactly, they had a special name for it, but the projects they were doing and presenting, we were like, oh, we could do that, or we could put a spin on that, and we came up with our own ideas, and so it just inspired us to keep building and putting our own spin on things and also draw new students in, because that was the big challenge, is getting new students in, the younger students in. So that was one of the main things.
Okay, and how about yourself?
And at those conferences, some of those best practices presentations, they had to do with like artificial intelligence and bringing AI into a student-led organization. Those were some really incredible presentations that students had done that really opened our eyes to what was possible. And same thing, there was a lot of stuff with community service projects that people were reaching out in their communities and how they were bringing Beta Alpha Psi into the community, and those were very insightful. And I also feel that some of the things that we did included like the mock interviews and stuff like that, and that takes your education and really prepares you for that next step as a professional. I think that's the importance of Beta Alpha Psi, is preparing students to be professionals, and opportunities like that caused us to be more prepared in the field.
Well, and I'm really happy that you bring up AI, because it's something that's here. It's now, okay? We've talked about it for years that it's coming. Now it's here. And what are we doing with it? How do we embrace it? And how do we get AI to work for us? It's not replacing us. How do we get it to work for us and with us?
Oh, well, it actually at work, tax preparer, so often we have, questions of, really not bizarre cases, but, out of the ordinary. Most recent, my client had some fraud issues, and he was wondering, can I write this fraud off my taxes? Well, we have in our tax program that we use an AI-generated say, and we just type the question in there, and what laws would apply to that? Can this be possible? And it'll just generate it, and it's like, it cut out a lot of, searching through the tax codes and where do I need to go, and it was all right there, and it took less than 20 minutes to put all that together. So that's how I use AI in everyday work.
We have to make sure it's correct.
Well, yes.
But
it does quote the tax codes, and we have to go through and read those and double check everything. But, for the most part, it brings up the relevant stuff. And then you can go from there and you go in the subcodes and things like that. So.
And it's kind of interesting because you're about to graduate, is that correct?
Yes, I will graduate in May.
And you graduated a year ago. So let's talk about this, because I think when we talk about Beta Alpha Psi, it's an opportunity. We say it's opportunity for the students to network. What about the alumni? So do each of you plan to continue to stay active and involved and engaged?
I definitely do. I really hope to, because we're just now becoming a chapter. We haven't had the opportunity to have any alumni events because our alumni just graduated last year. So we're definitely hoping to incorporate that and plan one for this fall. We've discussed that with the group, planning an alumni event for the fall. So I definitely think that it's going to be important for us to do that, and I'm looking forward to come back as an alumni.
Sure. Jordan?
And yeah, always looking forward to come back. Greg at our induction ceremony today, and I'm like, just if there's like any community service projects or thing you need more volunteers on, or if someone's, can't make it or something, call us. We'll be there.
And I think it's a special thing because, this is a society that's designed and developed for representation in accounting, finance, informatics. Is that correct?
Yes.
But it's also a part of the School of Business and Economics. And so it feels like, you're bringing something special to that part of the student. And it really accelerating, so appreciate that very much. Indiana University East, as we all know, is a commuter school, okay? And so sometimes people ask me, okay, you don't have dorms, and it's not maybe a traditional type of campus. I think it's very traditional in so many ways, okay? Yes, we commute, but we have apartments very close, and different people have different needs. And so I think it's very interesting. Let's talk about that, because I feel like things like this organization has brought you together to not feel like necessarily a commuter campus. So let's talk about your experience here.
Just starting from why I chose IU East, kind of?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was close to home, and I came and visited, and there's, the family feel to IU East. It's small, but it's also like everybody's engaged. And I think that an important part of Beta Alpha Psi, and something that I have pitched to other students now, is that after COVID, it was so hard to get students on campus. And Beta Alpha Psi really is an opportunity to start building relationships with other accounting students, with other finance and informatics students. And so I really kind of pushed that, and I think that a lot more students have started to become engaged even in other student organization groups and being on campus, and I think there's a lot of importance in that. And that does make it feel like it makes it not feel like a commuter campus, because students are coming to events and they're coming to in-person meetings, and you're together quite a bit more. And so you get that traditional college feel. And
you get that common ground. I do like that. And Jordan, how about yourself?
The pretty much exactly what Jayla said, the home feel, because, we had the same reason, really, is it's close to home. It's here in Richmond. But the professors and everyone was just so home feeling, like they're always there to support you. There have never been an instance where I didn't like a professor or anything like that. It's just like they're always there. It's like, how can I help you? And I'm like, I wasn't quite expecting that, because when I talk to, older people in my family and things like that, it's like, oh, professors, they're very rigid. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to expect. And then when I get to IU East, I'm like, what were you talking about? Yeah. So it's very home feeling, and being on campus, you are feeling very connected to students. And I was involved in the SI program here, which is supplemental instruction. So I became a leader out of a classroom. My professor said, "How would you like to be a supplemental instruction leader?" I'm like, "What is that?" Yeah. But they're always lifting you up. It's like, you have a talent. Let's do something with that. That's the one thing that I like out of the professors here.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I like to share when I meet with a recruit, is that you may be coming from high school, but I will never call you a kid. Because once you get into our programs here at the university, you're a developing professional. And that's what I expect. You can act like a kid once in a while. You can have fun. We all still do it. But we will focus and we will develop professionals. And that's what we do here at the university. You know, we just had a segment in where we had the dean, okay? And as the dean was on with the show, I think it's really fun because she's kind of got almost like a university of her own within her school, okay? Because think about the different disciplines, so how we come together on campus, okay? How you interact with maybe nursing students, education students, okay? We're all here because you're all students, okay? But even within our school, we all have different disciplines, whether it be entrepreneurship with myself, we have a marketing professor, we have a finance professor, accounting professor. But the dean, you know, she has to create that environment where we're all excited because we respect each other, we respect each other's disciplines, and we share and we grow. And then I think that's what makes us the best that we can possibly be, is to be able to grow together and enjoy our time here together. So what's the one thing that really gets you excited about what we're doing today?
I think the one thing that really gets me excited is that we'll be able to see this going forward years to come. And so I'm really excited to come back as an alumni and see what people have done with the organization that we helped start, but they made better. And so I'm really excited to see that over the next couple years and see where IU East can take this Beta Alpha Psi chapter.
Thank you, Jayla. Jordan?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what it's done with, because putting in those 4 hard years of, oh, are we not going to make it this year? Are we going to make it this year? And Greg finally texts me, like, you're going to make it. And we're like, finally. So I'm with Jayla. I just can't wait to see how it grows from here and what they can do with it, because AI might just change it all, or technology. You never know.
AI is going to be working with us and for us.
Yes.
Okay? Not replacing us
Yes.
in any way. So this will conclude another episode of In Focus. Today, I had the absolute honor to have guests in here talking about our newest chapter of a society. We've now started with Beta Alpha Psi, and it's going to be an exciting time for our future, and it's going to be a historical time for our guests today because they were such an important part of it. I can't say thank you enough to our students, to our administrators, and to the organization. So thank you again for watching In Focus.